to Hobbies and Hyperfocus. My name's Pam, my pronouns are she, her, and I live on the Treaty 6 grounds, which is the traditional home of the Métis people here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. This is a channel primarily about cross stitch and needlework, but also will take you down some rabbit holes that I fall down randomly. So let's get started. First thing today, we have the tarot of the day. My tarot pull of the day is the Empress, which is a card of nurturing and of growing or gestating projects and other things. Here it looks like she's gestating a whole person, which is a really big project. I'm past the point of gestating real humans. I already have 6 of those. So I am currently in the stage of working toward designation. And in my designation, I want to go to what's called CAP-M, which is Certified Associate of Project Management. The last 2 weeks I've taken the online live courses, and now I just have to study and apply and write the 3-hour exam. So there's a lot of working towards gestating, pulling all the information, synthesizing it, and manifesting this large thing. So we have the Empress. But my main hobby, as if you've been here before, is cross stitch or needlework. And this is episode 3. And I will find a way, I hope, to reverse. I actually spent a good 10 minutes going down the rabbit hole trying to figure out how to make it so that when I videotaped, I could read the words. But for some reason, I can't figure that out. It didn't work what they said to do. And so I'm going to have to do this, hopefully, in editing. So episode 3 or season 1.2. I started with 0, so this is 0.2. Embrace my suckiness. This is a phrase that a friend of mine and I used to say all the time, or usually just embrace the suck. And embrace the suck is a sentiment that means embrace that you're not going to do it perfectly. Embrace the fact that you are going to suck, and you have to suck, and you have to keep going. And that is apropos for me because right now I feel like I am sucking bad at this. Grab the big bag of everything. Yeah, I feel like I am sucking at this whole YouTube thing. I'm a little encouraged that in 2 months I have received about 200 views, 100 on each of my videos, but I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I see other people and they start, and the first time they start, they have thousands of views. But I do know that I'm a little bit different. I'm not for everyone. I don't have a background in things that would be on Instagram, that would a huge background for Instagram. I don't have a following, and I'm just starting from 0. And the whole idea for me is to keep track of my progress, because I have been really bad at tracking the kinds of projects I do, how long it takes me, what I've done, what I'm doing. And I've watched a lot of these YouTube videos and I'm like, okay, well now they have a record of what they've done, what they like, how they've evolved. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm trying to get over the whole, but I'm not getting any views, I'm not getting any views. I got some. I've got some people watching, and thank you for watching, and hopefully somebody will hit the like button and we'll start getting some interaction. I've got this last time I got 14 comments, so that's good. And I've been, through this, encouraged to reach out to other floss tubers and interact a little bit more, because I learned that if you just sit there like a fly on the wall, then they don't know you're there. And they feel, maybe they feel the same way. Maybe they feel like they're talking to their walls, or in my case, my cat. She's gonna sit over here today and sit over here because I'm facing this way. And with the end of the awkwardness, we're gonna go into, did I already talk about this? No. The cross stitch. So, the Lola Crow, sorry, I keep bumping that. The Lola Crow Garden of Oddities SAL finished 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And I actually managed to keep up with this. So this is done on a 36 count, I think, 36 count catnap that I got from Roxy Flosco and Evertotes. And I actually kept up with it. So I've actually done all the way to the back stitch, and I even, what I don't usually do, but I even remembered, put in my initials and the year. So that's the only one I actually finished. Or, well, I actually also did this little small that I picked out. This is, August was the season of the frog in my world. I picked out pretty much everything I started. I picked it back and started again, and picked it back and started again. So this one I had started the beginning of August, just because I thought I want to do a small, and this was a freebie by Darling and Whimsy Designs. And yeah, I, for some reason, I didn't like the first fabric I started on. I didn't like the second fabric I started on. I didn't like it over one on 28 count dark even weave. I didn't like it on the white. So I finally got that one done. So that one it actually took me probably 4 days of stitching, because I stitched the whole flag. I stitched the whole flag, which is like, and then I ripped the whole thing out, and then I stitched it again, and I ripped the whole thing out, and then I stitched it again, and I ripped the whole thing out. Like, I just could not seem to win, but I did. It's a little wonky because I don't know what this is. It's very schlubby fabric. It's got lots of schlubs in it, but I figured I'll just finish it, and if I don't like it, there's like a whole meter of fabric there. I can always do it again. So I did. I actually don't know. That fabric was from, back in the 90s. Charles Craft? Lewis Craft? I'm not sure where I got it. It was in a plastic container. I think it's Belfast linen. It's 32 count blue, sage blue. But I'm gonna try it again. Like, I'm gonna do maybe one of the brighter ones, the pride flag on it. That brings us to the other one that I spent a lot of time ripping out. And I don't know if you can tell here. I'm gonna turn this up. Oh no, turn it down. This one, I had done a lot more. Like, I had like a huge amount done. And I realized that right in the very beginning, I had miscounted somewhere. And I think it was due to the fact that this is one of the ones for the last year, I've been doing primarily ones on Pattern Keeper. So I'm not having to try and figure out, flip back and forth between different sheets or different pages of a paper pattern. And this one is a paper pattern. It's 7 sheets of letter paper. And my working copy, when I took it to my office and I photocopied it because I wanted a working pattern, because you know, you always make a mistake and then you rip it out and you color it in and you rip it out, and I've run into issues with, sorry, I keep bumping that, mirabilias, where you have it's too big to put beside you, so you leave it folded up, but if you fold and unfold the paper, it shreds, and then you can't see whatever symbols are written on that crease. That crease rips and it's really hard to deal with. But it's such a shape and size that you can't really make a photocopy copy. Like, I can't. I haven't figured out how to get it to do that. So the last mirabilia I did, I think, was Princess Eliana. I had, in the middle of stitching it, I had to stop and order a second copy of the pattern because the pattern ripped so bad that I couldn't tell down that seam what symbol was what. And it was really frustrating because it takes like 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes a month, when I order to get here. I'm just waiting to see if the kid is going to come downstairs. Hopefully not. It takes 2 or 3 weeks for me to get something from 123 Stitch. And again, the exchange rate from US to Canadian isn't great. So it costs a lot. And it kind of just sort of puts a damper in your flow when... Sorry, I keep waiting for somebody to come down because the kids don't like to leave me alone. Okay, they're gonna go away. It puts a real damper in your project when you have to keep stopping and waiting and picking out, and then you get the new pattern and you have to figure out where you are in the physical pattern. And while I understand why a lot of these designers don't offer a PDF or a Pattern Keeper version, I also haven't figured out how to import it into Pattern Keeper. Even if I take a picture of it, or in this case, like I scanned it, it's really hard to see because it's opal and it's dark. I'm trying to show you, but I ripped that out 3 times and restarted it 3 times because they weren't lining up. I was having a very hard time because I have each sheet one side has 3 rows, but then you have to count, okay, which one does it correspond with in the next sheet, like what page? And I was having a really hard time. So I ripped it all back, started again. And I also, with this one, this is my first time using the nerd tube, which took me a while to get the tension right, but I think I got it now. I really love this. You can see all this blank space here is for Krynics. It's all going to be Krynic there. And beads. It's going to be very bead heavy. But I got 2 of these. I ordered 2 with my last order from 123 Stitch. And I think I'm going to order some more because they're light. They're easy to carry. But they don't fit in the project bags that I have. So that's Crystal Mermaid, the Mermaid Crystal Mermaid Aquabella by Bella Filipina. and that was on 32 count Treasure Dark Opal by Dying for Cross Stitch. And I'm really, like, I'm enjoying it. And they're coming out with a Mermaids of the Seasons stitch along, which I bought into. I bought it, and I'm going to do that one. And I just got the linen on Friday, thankfully, before everything, you know, shut down for, not shut down, but before Labor Day, which it's Labor Day today here. I should probably tell you the day. I haven't been doing that, but yeah, it's September the 4th. September the 4th. Thank God, the kids are going back to school tomorrow. Okay, so I signed up for the stitch along, the Bella Filipina and Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers stitch along, Mermaids of the Season. And with it, I decided I might as well bite the bullet and order the linen because it will take me 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, if I'm lucky, to get the linen in once I see the design. So I'm just gonna go with what they've recommended, which is, in this case, 32 count Singing in the Rain linen by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. So that starts the first of the 4 mermaids by Bella Filipina will come out on September the 15th, and every 15th of the month, so September, October, November, and December, we will get one of the mermaids, and they're seasonal mermaids. So from what I understand, they'll be spring, summer, winter, and fall. So that's good. Meanwhile, I also received a very similar piece of fabric from Traditional Stitches, which is Picture This Plush plus Splash. It's a much smaller one, but it's quite a nice colorway. And this is again 32 count. The only thing that I find just detracting from ordering that way is that they don't finish the edges, and I don't have a serger, so I have to find a way to sew along the edges somehow to keep them in. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but that was my backup linen, but then I realized it's not going to be the right color, or not the right size. So yeah, I have signed up for the Bella Filipina and Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers stitch along. This will be my second stitch along this year, and second ever. And given the complexity of these mermaids and the number of beads and crynecks, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to keep up with that one. But I did join it anyway. So there is that. Now, I know last time in the end of July, I had discussed the fact that I wanted to make my own project bag, and I managed to do that, which I will take her out so you can see. Basically, I made a vinyl front bag. All of my fabrics that I have are pretty much Halloween themed. I love Halloween themed stuff. If I ever get into quilting, I'm probably going to end up with a Halloween quilt because of all the fabric I have. So I used a tutorial online by Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, or Can Sew, and it was quite easy. It was my first time sewing with vinyl, of course, and it was my first time ever sewing a zipper, but it worked. I saw from Cinematic Stitches, Cinematic Stitches I said I wanted to do this, and she's like, well, it's easy if you have a zipper foot. I have a zipper foot. It came with my sewing machine. I didn't even know it. I have a very basic, you know me, I've only really sewn straight lines. So I didn't know I had a zipper foot, but I have a zipper foot. And so now that I can make my own bags, I should be able to make myself a big enough bag to hold my nerd hoops. And maybe order some of the medium nerd hoops next time, because that one's quite large. So that's another project that I did put this one on upside down. It should have been this way, but it's in my sewing bag anyway. Nobody ever notices it. So my first start was Sea Witch, which again I pulled out twice and restarted because of like miscounting. So this is how far I've gotten, and I think I'm gonna restart her. I really don't like this fabric. This is another fabric that I had in my stash that I probably originally bought in the early 90s, maybe late 90s, before I stopped cross stitching before. Like originally I had cross stitched for years from the time I was about 15 till my oldest was about 5. He started school, and when I went through my divorce, I just lost the stitchy bug. I just lost it. Consequently, I was in the middle of doing a project. I was doing Mirabilia's Mermaids of the Deep Blue, and I put it aside. And 20 years later, I came back to it, probably 20 years, because I didn't pick it up again until 2020, and I looked at it, and I was devastated, but I had to throw it away. I took it off my hoop, and I still have all the specialty flosses and beads for it, so I might pick up the pattern again. The pattern itself was ruined from moving house 3 or 4 times and not being able to store it in a really good environment. The pattern was ripped, it was torn, there was stuff spilled on it. Looked like my cat or one of the hamsters had chewed on it. It was in a bad shape. The linen something had spilled on it. I didn't know where I was in the pattern. So that is my tangent on what happened, why I kind of quit stitching. But I probably bought this at the same time, and I don't know if it's a Belfast or an Edinburgh. It's too loose. So the moral of the story is I don't like this fabric. I find it's too loose. I want something tighter. And so I'm going to restart that one again. I know I put in like a couple hundred stitches. It's the first time in this one using silk. So I had a silk that matched the color, so I used that. I think I am going to find another fabric, maybe I saw, was it Cam the Stitcher, or I think it was Cam the Stitcher, and she got a purple. So I'm like, maybe I will dye something. I have Rit dye, and I have dyed a few things. So maybe I'll try like a purple. I don't want to go with green. I think there's too much green, and it just washes out. But then I can use a fabric that maybe works better for me. I like a tighter fabric. So yeah. And the only one that I did this month that I didn't rip out the whole thing and start again is my Temperature SAL. So here, I don't know where, it's obviously a red one. Yeah, this one. Started, I need a board. I'm gonna have to buy a board. You see, July was pretty hot, or August was pretty hot. So got all of July done. Oops, you can't see it. It's right. This one's starting, the red one. So I have now got all my stats for August, and I've got my little thread ready to go, and that's my next 2 or 3 days. I will finish that, the month of August, and get ready for September. And this again is on a 40 count carbon copy? No. Yeah, carbon copy by Dying for Cross Stitch. So yeah, I'm actually keeping up with that quite well. When I'm done, I'm going to have to put in the beads. I have ordered the beads already. They are, I don't know if they're going to fit. So if they don't fit, I guess I will use, I don't have it here, but I will use the glow in the dark from DMC because it's a nice bright white and it glows in the dark. I love things that glow in the dark, hence my glasses that glow in the dark. But yeah, so once that one's done, then I'll put all the beads on. There's like a whole bunch of beads all the way through it. And oh, okay, and then the last one I worked with, I started on last night, and this is Trick or Treat Fairy by Mirabilia. So I got about 500 stitches in, and this is on fabric that I've dyed myself. I can't tell if it's washing it out. I'll turn this down a bit. It's a 32 count even weave that I dyed with onion skin that I saw that you could dye with onion skin. I had a whole bunch of onions, wasn't using them, took off all the skin, boiled them up, and it's sort of a orangey yellowy fabric color. So it was a really fascinating colorway. But I did pretty much most of her dress yesterday. My plan yesterday, and this is, you know, if you're a mom, you know. If you know, you know. My plan yesterday was to get up, to do the Twitch stream with Michelle Bendy Stitchy, and that would encourage me to get downstairs and film. But that's not what happened. Because my kids go back to school tomorrow, and I was still missing some school supplies. And I have to get groceries, and Costco's closed today. So we decided, okay, well, we're going to go to Costco, and then we're going to go to Walmart, and we'll get a few things that we need. And when we're done, my husband will take the dog to the dog park, and I will come down here and do this filming thing. Well, that's not how it worked. We went to Costco, and Costco is a gong show, and it took a lot longer than we expected. And then we went to Walmart, and Walmart was a total, everybody and their dog, maybe their cats, everybody was there and everything was picked through. So I ended up going to Walmart, and then we came home. My husband's like, okay, well, the Rough Riders game is on at 5, so I need to take the dog to the dog park now. And I was like, okay, well, I need to find 2 more things. So I'm going to take the kids and we're going to go to Staples. So we went to Staples and it was 4:30, and Staples on Sundays closes at 5. So we ended up getting to Staples and running around looking for the few things that we needed, and of course bought more than we needed, but we did find the 3-inch binder with a zipper and a handle that her teacher had asked for. So got home, and then it's 5:30 and I need to wash the dishes and make supper. So then I'm washing dishes and I'm making supper. And meanwhile, my 6-year-old has my phone. And my 6-year-old is now obsessed with the game Singing Monsters. He wants a Wobbucks. And you have to collect all the monsters. You have to do all these things. But we don't have an iPad anymore. He managed to kill our iPads. So he uses my phone. And I wasn't really paying attention to how long he was on the phone. And apparently this monsters thing really drains the battery, because every time you change islands, you have to watch an ad. And instead of closing the ads, or the Apple App Store, he was just leaving it open in the background. So he had like 80 tabs open, and it was, my battery drained. So I finish supper and I get everything put away, and the kids are upstairs watching a movie, and Dad's watching the football game, and the dog's quiet, and I come downstairs to film and my phone's dead. I was like, oh my God. It's gonna be an hour before the battery is good enough. So I was like, okay, I know I told everybody I'd film, but I'll do it tomorrow. I will do it tomorrow. So to appease my guilt, I started a project. And that's why I have 500 stitches on here. And because it's an even weave, I find it really easy to do quickly. I talk a lot. I have a lot of stories. I go off on tangents. But a few years, like when I first decided I was going to do this, I decided I was going to, don't copy the picture, but here's the picture, right? I find the words trick or treat. Oh, it's very shiny. Very, very dark, hard to read. So I thought I'd swap them out with glow-in-the-dark orange Krynic. And I was going to swap out some of the beads with Mill Hill glow-in-the-dark beads. So this is the first time I've swapped something out on my own without somebody telling me, oh, you could do that. But yeah, like the trick or treat, I find it a little dark. So maybe that'll punch a little bit more. And because it's not on a very light fabric, I think that, oops, that's the back. I think that the orange will pop a little bit more. If it doesn't, I will maybe mix orange Krynic. I do have orange Krynic blending filament. I might do that and the DMC glow in the dark. Whatever, I want it to glow in the dark. Things are gonna glow in the dark. The moral of the story is everything must glow in the dark. So I appeased my guilt by starting a project. So that's all the ones that I actually worked on this month. So we're on to, what's this one? Oh, plants. Yes, plants. Yes, plants. So I'm still trying to get up to 10 or whips so that I feel like I'm with the big girls. More that I wanted to have 10 works in progress because I felt like the Tiny Decisions board, that would be enough Tiny Decisions, that it didn't look bare. So with my last order from 123 Stitch, I ordered, oh, what is this one? Yeah. I ordered the Wheel of the Year cross stitch pattern. So this is the one I want to start. But I have to kit this up. I haven't kitted this up, I just have the pattern. And I thought, let's make it hard for myself and do it on 40 count. Because I had bought this beautiful 40 count called Coral Reef. 40 count even weave. Again, dying for cross stitch. And I thought, that's very colorful. And so is this. So I'm going to put the Wheel of the Year on this. And I don't know. I might start it and decide no. Which case I do have a piece of 32 count even weave to start on. If this does not tickle my fancy. As I mentioned before, next year I'm turning 50. So in April, the week after my birthday, I'm going to be going to Stitch North. And I'll be 50. And I'm finding that now not only am I severely nearsighted, but I can't see close to myself either. So I'm in a weird position. And I'm, although I love 40 count and I love the delicateness of it, it's getting to the point where it's so hard to see that I might just have to bite the bullet and realize that, sorry, I dropped some, that I have to go back to like 36 count and not mess around with 40 count anymore. Even though I like it. There's a lot of beautiful fabrics that are in 36, 32 count, and I've been doing a lot of them in 32 count. But just to be perverse, I have The Little Brown Bat by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I've had this one for a while. My only other finish, other than the Garden of Oddities and the Pride Flag, is this beaver. I finished this beaver in early February. And I have enough fabric on this one that I'm going to do the bat on this one. So I'll have 2 on one. It's 40 count. Picture this plus. Oaken. I thought, I have it. I'm going to do it. I really loved the last 2 that I did. I did the beaver and I've done the fox. The fox was January. I'm thinking maybe I should get the bear and maybe the December one. But I'm still thinking about those. So those are my plans. Meanwhile, I might just pick up 700 other things because I do have a lot of PDF ones that I'd like to start. I have my Stitchy for Witchy. When Meg at the Witchy Stitcher was diagnosed with cancer and everyone started the hashtag Stitchy for Witchy, I bought Yule. I think I'll try and insert pictures of them. Yule and pumpkin spice zombies. I think it is. Anyway, it is a picture of a pumpkin spice latte, but it's in zombies. And I'm like, I am there for pumpkin spice. And I'm probably a pumpkin spice zombie. I'm the basic witch. I love the pumpkin spice in this season and the gingerbread spice. So I have tea dyed. This is a tea dye. It's really light here, but it's really not. It's more of a tan. And I might re-dip it just to try and get it a little darker. Maybe dye it on the edges with black or gray. I thought I'd do the pumpkin spice one on this. I also have my Stitch for Sage. I have Reliquary and Self-Worship. Now, Self-Worship is the one that my daughter doesn't like. She doesn't like the look of it. She says it looks satanic, but it doesn't. If you look at it, it looks very gothic, like gothic architecture. But it also, to me, screams reproductive rights, which I'm all for. So I want to do that one, but I'm not sure if I want to do it on the carbon copy, because again, it's 40 count and it's black, and I'm having a very hard time with the Galaxy seeing it because it's on 40 count and it's black and it's hard to see the teeny tiny holes. So I'm looking for 20 count again, which isn't going to help me. It's going to be the same count, but 20 count Ada in dark gray or black for that one. I would like to start one of those. I also switched out a new section here. I talk about my Patreons right now. The last time we talked about Patreon, my theory for, or my plans for 2024, the year of the 50th birthday, are going to be that I don't know if I enjoy the idea of the whip go. I'm going to try the whip go next year for whips, but I'm also going to try the whip go for Patreon, or yeah, that kind of thing, Patreon supporting. And I think I mentioned that before last, like in, was it August? July, the last video, in video number 2, I mentioned that I wanted to use the whip go idea, but I wanted to do it for Patreon because I wanted to be able to support a bunch of different, all these different things. So I thought maybe I'd do a whip go board for that and have 24 on it. And I try to support only 2 at a time because it becomes very expensive if you have so many subscriptions. It's like having, well, I shouldn't talk, Netflix and cable and all these different kinds, right? And you lose track of what you're supporting and what you have and what you're paying for. So previously in July, I mentioned that I'm a patron of Michelle Bendy Stitchy, and at that time, Fine Frog Stitchery, because I love the idea of like monastic animals, which she was doing a series on. And when Witchy Stitcher, when the whole Stitchy for Witchy came out, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to take on another project. So I switched and I became a patron of hers at Coven 2 level. And so now I'm a patron of Michelle and Witchy Stitcher. So this is just a long way of saying I'm looking for more creators and more people to support in 2024 because I want to have 2, and I'm going to start with 2 and switch 1 out every month. So over the year we have 20 or 24. Whatever it ends up being, if I can remember to do it. But I want to try doing that on a WhipGo board, kind of like a bingo board. So that's one plan. My second plan is traveling next year. So I think it was like a week after the video. Let me grab my tea here. A week after the video went live, I was talking to my mom, and my mother and I have been discussing doing a trip. And we've been discussing this since I was probably in high school, of going to Ireland. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. From the time I was in grade, I think 6, I have had this desire to go to Ireland and see Ireland. And I've done, like, as an adult, I spent 8 years as an Irish dancer, as an Irish Ceilidh dancer. I gave that up when I was pregnant with my son because of health concerns when I was pregnant with him. It was a geriatric pregnancy. I was 43. And they suggested maybe jumping and high impact activity might not be a good idea. So I stopped, and I haven't gone back, and I probably won't at this point. Even though I love it, and I still have my hard shoes and my pumps, I think I'm not going to go back at this point. But I also spent years learning Gaeilge, and I would like to see this place that for some reason has a huge impact on me. So my mother and her friend have been doing a lot of cruises, and they thought, well, maybe there's a cruise. And I was like, I really don't want to go across that ocean. That's a bad juju. So could we do another kind of cruise? So she has booked us, I think it's 12 or 14 days. So in June of next year, my mother and I are going to drive from Saskatoon to Edmonton, where my brother lives. And we're going to fly from Edmonton to Southampton, England. And in Southampton, we're going to get on a cruise ship. And that cruise ship is going to go around England and in between Wales and Ireland. And we're going to go see parts of Ireland, but we're also going to see we're going to see London. We're going to be in London for a day, and then we're going to leave from London, and we're going to go there. We're going to see Liverpool at some point, and I think that's important because of the Beatles. I'm not from that era. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old. But my mother was a big fan of the Beatles, so we're going to go. I think we hit Liverpool. I think we're going to hit Dublin and Belfast. So Ireland and Northern Ireland. And Glasgow and Edinburgh in Scotland. And then another place in England. And then we're going to end in Paris. So we'll be in Paris for a day, which I might have to actually learn to speak French. I could read all the signs. That's not going to help me if anyone speaks to me. And then we're going to end up in England. So we're going to be gone. I'm going to take my whole 15 days vacation at once next year, which means I'm going to have to work at home with the kids all summer because I won't be able to take any time off. But that's in June. So from June, I think we said June 18th to July 4th. We come back to Canada July 4th. I'll be doing this epic, my dream trip with my mother And before that, the week after my birthday, I'm going to be going to Stitch North. Now, I waffled back and forth about should I go, shouldn't I go, should I go, shouldn't I go, and I'm like, I really wanted to go to Stitch North because I want to meet some of these people that I've been talking to, or I've been talking to in my brain, some of them. I mean, I have talked online to Helen when we were in a tarot class together. I've talked once in a while to Michelle over typing. I've messaged with the Chinook Crafter and others, Plexicity. I don't even know how to say that. But I've talked to quite a few of them over chats and stuff. So I feel like I know them, and I'd like to go. And so I'm really still hoping that I can manage it. It's gonna be a weekend for me, so I'd probably take off a Thursday, get there Thursday night, and then leave Sunday and come back, go back to work. I go back and forth. I decide it's gonna be super expensive. Then I'm like, no, I've already planned. This was the original plan for my birthday, was to go to the Stitch North and see all the people. I might need an accountability buddy because I will definitely need to buy some stuff. Like, it's very hard to get linen here. So fabric, if I can get it, I'd like to buy there. But I don't need a billion patterns and I don't need a billion things. But I know that if I'm there, I'll want to buy a billion things. So I might need an accountability buddy, and I still need to try and reach out and try and find a roommate so I can cut the cost of my hotel room in half. But I'm really considering going. I don't want it to be why I don't travel, which is a long way of saying my brain has been like I've been just going on and on and on and on about traveling in the last month. I've looked into all kinds of things that you can do, and it'll be a lot of firsts for me. This has nothing to do with cross stitch. This is just my life update, right? And that's pretty much what's been going on. So other than that, as I mentioned, today is the 4th of September. My kids start school tomorrow, and we're in the middle of gathering up all the school supplies. Thankfully, unlike when I went to school and my older kids went to school, they don't need to bring all their school supplies the first day of school. In fact, they discourage it. So we have a few more days to try and gather up the last of the things that are hard to find. I'm not sure why glue sticks are so hard to find. Well, why do they ask for jumbo glue sticks when nobody seems to have them? I looked everywhere for jumbo glue sticks. I ended up just substituting 3 smaller glue sticks for each one that they asked for at the jumbo because I could not find them. So I'm going back to the office full time starting Wednesday. Yes, tomorrow they only have the morning. They're going to be in school in the morning. Teachers will all meet them. Then they'll go back and do whatever they do to decide the allocations. They have to wait until they find out, especially with kindergartners. There might be more people enrolled or less people enrolled. Last year they only had a one class of kindergartners, like Monday, Wednesday, and every second Friday. This year they have a lot more kindergartners, so they have 2 classes. My son is going into grade 1, and so it'll be interesting to see who might have moved from other French immersion schools to this school, who might have gone back to the English track, and who is starting French immersion this year. They can start in kindergarten or grade 1. My daughter's going into grade 6. I'm super concerned about that because she has been struggling with dyslexia right from kindergarten. We were finally seen by the school psychologist the very tail end of grade 4? Grade 3? I think grade 3. Yeah, the tail end of grade 3. And like we were told at that point that there wasn't any supports for her and that maybe she should go into English. And they really, really wanted to push her into the English track. And originally her father and I were quite supportive of that idea. But when we talked to her about it, Stephanie, our daughter, was not. She did not want to go into English. And I'm not entirely certain why. The school that she goes to is what's called a one-track school. So many of the French immersion schools here in Saskatoon are what are called 2-track. So they have elementary grades 1 through, or kindergarten through 8. And there's French immersion, but then there's also public English, which is the main language spoken around here. The majority of people, either their first or their primary language that we communicate in is English. So public schools, most of them are in English. But we do have a Ukrainian immersion and a Cree immersion school called Wakatswin. I think they're both also one-track schools. No, Wakatswin is a 2-track school, so they have English or Cree immersion. And but that's to say that because she's in a 1-track school, the only option she has if she wants to stay in that school is to stay in French immersion. And she has no problem making friends. She's not a shy kid at all. But when we talk to different people in the city, when we're like, I've reached out to LDAS, which is the Learning Disabilities Association of Saskatchewan. I didn't get any answers. I didn't get any idea of supports. So what I got from that, and talking to other people who've had children who have struggled, is it doesn't seem to matter if they're in an English school and they're primarily English speakers, or if they're in French immersion. There is no really supports available for the children. The supports seem to be, the idea seems to be, if a parent wants supports and they can't get an IEP or an individual education plan, which so far I've been told I can't get one either, the parents have to pay for external supports. So what I've tried to do is, I reached out to a organization in our city who helps pay for things for kids whose parents might not be able to afford them, or who might not have them but who need them. And this organization helped my daughter buy a reader pen. So it's basically a little pen, little electronic device, and as long as the words are in type, so typed, it can read in, I think there's a lot of languages, because it keeps changing itself to Norwegian. Not helpful, but hey, should she ever want to pick up Norwegian, we know that her pen can read it. But this thing reads, and then reads it to you in your ear. So it's a help for children with dyslexia, so that even if they struggle with reading a word or reading words, that they have something that can help them read blocks of text, and then the comprehension, at least they have the ability to hear it. So we bought her that, and we also bought her a Chromebook that she takes to school and she uses at school. And on top of that, now she is enrolled in what is called OG, or Orton Gillingham tutoring in French. She does that. She's going to be doing that on Zoom. There is an Orton Gillingham dyslexic school here in Saskatoon, but the problem that we had was it's not publicly funded, which means it's private school. It's expensive, and $1,500 for tutoring. I just couldn't do it at that point. And I don't know if that has changed, but I'm getting in touch with the Dyslexia Association of Canada, and I'm hoping to be able to find a support network for her and for myself. I've almost completed the Coursera course on dyslexia, or becoming dyslexia. I finally got the book. Great. I borrowed the book from the library, so Overcoming Dyslexia, which is research of how what dyslexia is and some of the methods that you can use to help with dyslexia. Like, I'm not sure. I haven't gotten into if it tells you why, but I know what it is now, and maybe we can find some kind of steps to help her. But I don't know keeping her in French, how long I can keep her in French if she can't keep up. And at the same time, knowing that even if she moved to English, if there's no supports in the school because the government keeps cutting funding, like, is there a point to moving her to English if she's going to be miserable and she's still going to be in the same position? I don't. So those are the two things that are occupying my brain. Traveling, school, and also now my trying to catch up and do my CAPM. That's just a long-winded way of saying my brain is stuffed and overcomplicated. And I don't blame anyone for having bounced out while I babbled about that for a while. And with that, I think we should probably end this video. I think I want to try and do a 2-week schedule. Oh, itchy. I want to try and do a 2-week schedule and see, now that the kids are in school, if I can incorporate this into my routine so that every second week I can do some taping and filming, and maybe that'll allow me to catch up with my projects a little bit more. We're going into fall season. My daughter is not doing silks anymore, so I have Sundays free, and unless we pick up another sport or something, we were pretty static to know that Saturdays, Sundays are going to be good days to do this. So I'm hopeful that it won't be 5 more weeks, that I will see you in 2 weeks, and maybe I won't talk so much, maybe I won't babble so much, but I can't guarantee that because I talk a lot and I don't have a lot of people to talk to. So now I'm talking to myself and my cat and you, and let's just